大家好，在第13课，我们要学习怎么去算钱，how to describe amounts of money. Because money is quite complicated in Chinese. This is going to be a long video, and I'm going to go into great detail and give many examples about different amounts of money. If you just want the basic introduction, just watch the first couple minutes and then skip around to see the rest. 我们的生词，第一，buy. This looks a little bit like buy, as in white, right? But there's also this line on top. If you turn it sideways, it kind of looks like the number 100. Buy. Buy is not a measure word. It is a number. Buy just means 100. So I can say, 我有100件裙子. I have 100 dresses. 我有200件衬衫. I have 200 shirts. 我有200条裤子. I have 200 pants. 我有500双鞋子. I have 500 shoes. If I want to say I have $100, I would say 我有100块钱. And 块, remember, 块 is a measure word for dollar. I need to have that measure word. I have $100 of money. So 100块钱. I need to have this structure in order to talk about how much money I have. 100块钱. Now, what if I want to talk about smaller amounts of money, not hundreds of dollars, but cents? I would use the measure word 毛. This is specifically a measure word, so it would replace 块. You wouldn't use 块because 块means dollars. I'm just talking about, tens, a mao. Like if I say 一毛, well, that means 1 dime, 10 cents. 2毛 is 20 cents. 3毛 is 30 cents. 4毛 is 40 cents, and so forth. If I want to talk about single cents, I would use the measure word 分, which means 1 cent. 一分钱 is 1 cent. 2分钱 is 2 cents. 3分钱 is 3 cents. 4分钱 is 4 cents. 5分钱 is 5 cents, and so forth. Like in English, there are different ways to talk about money in written Chinese or spoken Chinese. In English we can say this is 1 Federal Reserve note. In Chinese that would be the equivalent would be yuan. So I would, instead of saying $1, I would say 一元. That would be like 1, like that would yuan, which is the technical term for a Chinese dollar, Chinese currency. Same thing for dime and cent. Instead of saying mao and fen, I would say jiao and fen. So in certain advertisements or written down Chinese, you would see the measure words yuan and jiao instead of kuai and mao. Kuai and mao are more used in spoken Chinese. Like if you were actually going to go and try to buy some clothing, you would say 多少钱, and the person would say, $50, 50块钱, and like 5 cents, or in like 50 cents, 5毛钱. So generally, we're going to focus on the spoken measure words for money, and so it's important to familiarize yourself with XXX kuai, XXX mao, and XXX fen qian. Qian here is in parentheses because it's implied. If you use the measure word kuai, mao, and fen, that it specifically refers to money, so you don't have to necessarily put the qian afterwards because the context is already clear. You can also, okay, I'm now going to get into the technical details of how you specifically count and say money. Many of these rules are, shall we say, complex. And the details, to be honest, are not really that important, and even many Chinese speakers are confused how exactly they work. But I'm going to go into it anyway because why not? So over the next couple of minutes, I'm going to talk about some of the very specific details of how money is counted. If you're interested, keep on watching. You can also read the relevant section in the grammar part of Lesson 9 in your textbook. Okay, so you have so money is composed of multiple elements, right? In this case, kuai, mao, and fen. When you're talking, you can omit qian sometimes. You can also omit the second to last element, meaning you don't have to use that second to last measure word because it's implied by the context. However, if you do use the word qian, then you must use all the measure words. You must say all the measure words. For example, if I say 5.59, ordinarily I would say, without abbreviation, 5块5毛9分钱, meaning $5, 50 cents, and 9 cents, right? So literally, like, it's just added up. You go $5 plus, 5 dimes plus 9 cents, which is 5.59 amount of money. If I want to abbreviate this, because Chinese people love abbreviations, it's just easier to say, it's faster to say. You can just say 5块5毛9. And there's a reason you can get rid of some of these terms, because if I say 5块5毛9, it's perfectly clear from the context what I'm talking about. $5 and 50 cents plus 9. Right? What else could it be but 5.59? So that's how an abbreviation could work in Chinese. Now, some complex numbers have 0 in between other numbers, because remember, the structure for amounts of money is xxx kuai, xxx mao, and xxx fen qian. So what if I have, like zero dimes? I only have like 9 cents. Like, it's $5.09. Well, this would be a 0 here. I would say 0 mao li. How would I do that if it's a 0? Well, I would say 101块钱, or I would say 304分钱. So I'm just putting a 0 where there should be a mathematical place there, a digit, and I'm just putting a 0 in that digit. So the whole thing here, this blank mao, which doesn't exist, would just be 0. For example, 3块04分钱. So it would be $3 and 0.04分钱. 3块04分钱. I would just replace it. There needs to be a 0. You cannot not have that. You cannot say 3块, that's wrong. You need to have that 0 to represent the place. That's actually a very, very mathematical method of expression. 3块04分钱, $3.04. Or 101块钱, 100, 0 and $1. Now, when you count things, if you remember from our dates and time level, the number 2 is replaced by liang, right? When you're counting things, right? And the way I would try to remember it is, you always use liang in front of a measure word. So if the number 2 is going to be followed by a measure word, you want to say liang, right? Like there are 2 pencils, 有2支笔. So if I want to say, for example, 200, I would say 200块钱. I would not use that would be wrong. Or I would say 2块4毛钱, $2.40. Note, 22, the number 22 is not 2. So if I want to say $22, I would say 22块钱. I would not say 2 because it's not the number. I would not say 2块. That's wrong because 2 means 2. And number 22 is not 2. 22 is 22, and it never changes. Okay, let's finally look at some examples of how we count money. 30块钱, literally $30 of money. 100块钱, $100 of money. 200块钱, $200. 毛9分, this is literally 9 dimes and 9 cents, 99 cents. Like if I go to a 99-cent store, right, I would say 9毛9分商店. Remember, there's a qian here, right? 9毛9分钱, which is implied, but I didn't actually write it down. 1块8毛2分钱. That's $1, 80 cents, 8 dimes, and 2 cents. $1.82. Now, technically, this here should be a liang. Right, according to our rules here, it should be 1块8毛2分钱. However, the reason you saw it as there is because things get a little tricky with mao and in front of mao and then sometimes people will just use Grammatically, it should be liang, but because it's in front of a measure word. But commonly, people would just say probably because they're just used to it. That's just the custom. Let's look at some more examples. 15块3毛, $15 3 dimes, 30 cents. Now, there's no fen here because it's nothing. It doesn't exist. We don't need to include it. 59块8毛7. $59.80, 8 dimes, and 7 cents. Now the fen here is again, it's omitted because it is already implied by the whole context. 59块8毛7, 59.87. 60块05, $60, and then we need a zero. This is very important. We need a zero here to act as a placeholder. 60块05 or 60块05分钱. 60块5, $60, 60块, and then just 5, which implies 5毛, which implies 5 dimes, 50 cents. So the difference between 60块05 and 60块5 is the difference of that digit. This is why we need a zero here, because otherwise these two numbers would get confused. 60块05 and 60块5. 10块5 or 10块5毛, that's $10.50, 5 dimes. Or if I add a zero, I change the digit, it would be 10块05 or 10块05毛. Again, just like before, we need that 零 as a placeholder, otherwise the numbers are not the same, they change. 24块08 24块08分钱. Again, we see this 零 here as a placeholder between 24 and 8 cents. The 零 here expresses the fact that there is no dime measure word unit. 65块4 or 65块4 毛. Again, there's no zero here, which means we know this 是 is implied to be 40 cents, 4 dimes. $65.04. Let's add the hundreds category into our amounts of money. So remember, 100 is not a measure word, so it's a number. So if I want to talk about $222, I would say 222块. Just 200. The only measure word here is dollars, so it's just $222. However, remember, when I count 两, dollars must turn into the number 2. The number 2 must turn into 两. So this is not this is 两百. And then 22 is the number 22. It is not 2, so it doesn't change. It's 222块02. And the 零 here again expresses the placeholder,毛 unit, which doesn't exist, and it's 2 cents, 2分, or 2分钱. 222块02, or I could say 222块02分. $251.2 $251.02. Now, especially because the mao here is not said, right? This is actually, we omitted the mao. 251块. The here, it remains because it's not used. There actually is no mao here. There's no measure word because we're just omitting it. So I can just say It would be weird to say 两 without a measure word after it. So I'm just going to say That's the reason why a lot of times we use for mao and fen as opposed to 两, because you're always omitting the mao and the Let's look at yet some more examples. 101块2毛2 or 2毛2分 or 101块2毛2分. What's going on here? Well, technically, 2 should become 两 in front of a measure word. So grammatically speaking, this top sentence is the correct one. 101块2毛2. However, this bottom sentence is also common because it's just a little tricky with Sometimes it doesn't change in front of mao or fen, even when it should. So you might hear both of these ways to count. 101块2毛2分. Let's look at another way to count $2.22. 2块2毛2. Or I can say 2块2毛2. Both of these are common ways too. Okay, let's look at some practical examples. 我们在商店买东西. 2件衬衫多少钱? 112块06 or 06毛006分. 这3双鞋多少钱? 一共102块 8毛7。这一杯水多少钱？1毛9 or 1毛9分钱。这瓶可乐多少钱？7毛2 7毛2分钱。黄色的裤子多少钱啊？这条62块4毛9。这杯咖啡多少钱？1块2毛 or 2毛5。1块2毛5，1块2毛5。一共多少钱？一共279块7毛。All right, that's all we have for today. Thanks for listening. I hope that was helpful.